Shalom, shalom. It's the brother Michael Ward from GMS Lake Charles Camp coming at you again with another video through the Spirit. But before I do anything, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone who strive and taught us this truth. And blessings to you brothers across four winds, pushing the truth with sincerity. In today's video, I'm going to talk about, not trusting in that bow. Because in the upcoming times, we're going to need that protection. But the men of the Lord, we have that true protection, And, 2/3 out here, they're going to try to put their trust in everything else but Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. And that's not going to get you far, So I'm going to start off with this one. This is Psalms chapter 44 and verse 6. It say, "For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my bow save me." Right, man. When the enemy come in like a flood, man, we're not gonna put our trust, so much up in that bow. We're not gonna put our trust in these weapons because we know these weapons are only gonna get us so far. We know that we have the true power, to get us farther and farther and farther, man. And that's what we're gonna use. Verse 7, it say, "But thou hast saved us from our enemies and has put them to shame that hated us." Right, man. And he's going to save us. He saved us from our enemies before, and he's going to do it again. But this time it's going to top, what he did last time, man. But you have to trust in him, You can't be so quick to move, can't be so quick to put all your trust, in your armor, because that's only going to get you so far, man. When they run down on Jake and you get to dumping your 40, bro, you only got 15 to 20 something bullets, man. Ain't no telling what they holding in their clips, man. We have to sit back and let the Lord work, man. This is Luke chapter 1 and verse 71. It says that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hands of them that hate us, right, man? He's going to save us from our enemies, man. But you have to believe that, you have to be patient too, so he can show his true power. If you don't give the Lord time to show his power, man, then what? That's you leaning according to your own understanding. And by you doing that, you're going to fall every time. It's no situation, that he can't get you out of, no matter what it may be. You get thrown into prison, you get put in concentration camps. The Lord can have it to some shit go wrong. Some shit go wrong. Power cut off. Power cut back on, you out of there. You disappeared up out of there, man. He can have it to where, the angels come in the midst and get to working, get to killing everybody in sight. And before you know it, you cut free and up out of there, man. But those are the things, those are the miracles, you have to know that, the Lord can come with, because the scripture says nothing is impossible for him. It ain't nothing that the Lord can't do. This is Jeremiah chapter 34 and verse 27. He said, "Behold, I am Yahweh thy power of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me?" Right, man. Is there anything too hard for him? And the answer is no. He can get you out any bind. He can have it to where you be hiding somewhere. 50 troops pass you up, man, and not one of them see you. Not one of them even think to check where you is hiding at. But you have to believe, because we're going to come into some scary times, man. We're going to come into some scary times where many going to depart, because they're going to lose the faith. Many are going to depart because they are not built up to go through these things that we're going to be faced with. That's why we have to pray and hope, that Yahweh Shem Yahushua take not that spirit away from us, man. At least we be casted away, man. This is Psalms chapter 112, verse 7. It said, "He should not be afraid of evil tidings. His heart is fixed on trusting in the Lord." Right, man. Whatever bad news, they come with, we're not going to be afraid, because our heart is going to be fixed on trusting in the Lord, knowing that he's going to get us through those situations, man. knowing that he's going to find an escape route or give us the strength that we need to endure those things. That's what we have to know, you know. That's why we have to, think upon the old path, you know. Look at the things that the men of the Lord went through back then, man. Some of them went through some gruesome deaths, you know. Some of them had some escape routes, you know, but they all trusted in the Lord, man. Who was to say, the ones that was put through them gruesome deaths, who was to say, the Lord didn't give them, I don't want to say their powers. The Lord didn't make it to where they didn't feel those things that they was to go through, you know. You never hear about those men complaining, man. So the Lord had to strengthen them, you know, because some of them deaths were some gruesome deaths, you know. But whatever the case may be, we have to trust in him. Trust that he's going to get us through it or strengthen us, man, in these times of trouble. Because these times are not going to be light, because he know that after this, he's done. He's not ruling no more. So he's going to come down with that pop, He's going to come down with that force, man, with that, man. He's going to go back to his old ways, man. Get to torturing your kids, torturing you, whatever the case may be. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. It says, there had no temptation taken you, but such as common to men. But the Most High is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above than ye are able, but will make, hold on, let me stop right there. So he's not going to put more on your plate than you can handle, man. He's not going to tempt you too much to where, you throw the towel in, man. It says, but will the tempting also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it, right, man? Everything that you're going through, if you've been fighting, being diligent, keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments to your best of your ability, the things that you're going through, he's going to make it to where you can bear these things, man. He's not going to tempt you more than you can bear. He tells you these things, man. He lets you know, that he's going to be with you. You have your own personal angels around you, man, that's going to be strengthening you in those times. But you have to believe. You can't go in there with that doubt spirit, man. That's how you fall, And if you doubt, that's because you never really believe, man. You have to believe 100% that the Lord is going to be with you, that the angels are going to be with you. If you don't believe, when these times get to coming up on you, you're doomed. You're going to be destroyed. This is Isaiah chapter 41 and verse 10. It say, fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power. I will strengthen thee. He's letting you know in the scriptures that he's going to strengthen you, man. So what is there to doubt for? Yes, it's easier said than done. That's why we are working out our salvation right now with fear and trembling. That way he can be with us in the times to come. He lets you know that he's going to strengthen you. So when these things, come about us, we have to, call them out. Hey, Lord, you said you said this, you said that, we have to pray. The scriptures say the righteous cry, the Lord heareth them and deliver them out of all their troubles, man. You have to pray unto him, man, when you fall into these tough times and you feel like there's no way out or you can't go anymore. And he's going to give you the strength that you need. It said, yea, will I help thee? Yea, will I uphold thee with the right hand of righteousness, right, man? He's going to help us. But you have to believe. You can't doubt. You can't doubt, and you can't put trust up in these corner things because they're not going to get you far. It's only so far that these things are going to take you, but running with these true names, you know, Yahweh and Yahweh Shah, you know, it's going to take you far, man. You know? But, you know, Lord willing, this was edifying. You know, something that I want to get off my chest. Lord willing, it was edifying. But until next time, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who strive and taught us this truth. And peace, safety, and blessings to your brothers across four winds, pushing this truth and sincerity. Until next time, Shalom.